Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. It's a blessing and a joy and a relief to see all of you. And as Miss Annette and Miss Wanda said, it's a huge relief to know everyone is well. So very happy. I wish I could see you all much more often through the month. But thank you for joining. So I can actually give some updates. That I can talk about the items on the agenda for me. And so I just wanted to remind us all that we are wonderful sort of emissaries, ambassadors, representing our city and the wonderful heritage, the past and the present of our Black community, and so we're so proud of AAHI in the city of Winston-Salem, and so I'm very happy to hear that we have citizens now who want to join us on the committee. But I think we should all just keep spreading the word about who we are and what we do, because the more people that we engage and get on board with participating in some capacity, the better this will be in both the short term and the long term. And we think about our long-term goals of collecting rich material, histories, oral histories, pictures that no one else has collected, and then also writing our history of this city and however we deliver that down the line. So I have been asked in my capacity as a member here to return to Hickory in January. So I had a nice long conversation with some of the librarians. Their public library is very committed to social justice and equity, and they work with different groups. So Hickory's repertory company will be presenting Cadillac Crew, which is a wonderful play written by a young Black playwright. I think her name is Tori Sampson. She directed and wrote the play. It's on the early civil rights movement. It's about mainly Black women who were part of the civil rights movement in the early 60s. And so it was presented originally at Yale and has gone all over. So they have asked me to come and speak a couple of times and talk about just the erasure of Black women in all kinds of contexts, the way that the contributions of Black women are often hidden, even in the civil rights movement. So if you would, I would love for us to go and maybe have a panel discussion. They've invited me to go twice, so hopefully the weather will be good and we can get to Hickory safely. But as we try to recruit our own citizens and new committee members, we are also still working to, I think, show other communities the different ways that we can celebrate our history and just continue to build community. So I'm excited about that, but I really don't want to be the one-woman show. And I'm thinking that Councilperson Scipio, for instance, you've probably seen the play, but you're such a wonderful speaker, so I'd be happy to drive and then have you be the main speaker that night because they love what we're doing. That's why they invited me back. And I mentioned before that they're planning their Juneteenth activities next year around the way we've organized our collection, our subcommittees for collections. They liked the way that we broke ourselves into these different subgroups. And I believe, Councilperson Scipio, that was your vision. And so I love that they're modeling themselves after us. So I'll remind you about that. But if you have ideas about what we can present, as a group from AAHI, then and again, I'd rather have you all talk and I can drive you there.
I'd rather drive.
And of course, we'll probably meet a lot of old TC alumni. That's what I learned when I went for Juneteenth, that there are people in Hickory that love Winston-Salem because they graduated from TC. And so they have fond memories of living here in Winston-Salem. And I didn't realize that we had those connections. So yes. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'll say we'll talk about that later. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, and then service learning project is ongoing. What's wonderful.
Excuse me, Chair Villa-Gomez. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Yes,
I'm sorry for interrupting. Did you want to go in the order on the agenda, which is we need to go back to roll call? That we need to do that. And we also had a request to allow the Historic Resources Commission to present early so that they could go on to their meeting that begins at 3:00.
Oh, perfect. Yes, I am so sorry. I thought we would wait for roll call till after we had the quorum. So that's
you have a quorum now. You have a
okay,
quorum
perfect.
now.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Okay, wonderful. So thank you, Miss Allen Abraha. I love that name. Abraha was a great man of the past. So yes, if Miss Jamie could call roll, that would be wonderful.
Sure. Dr. Cynthia Villa-Gomez, Chair.
Present.
Mr. Robert Dura. Mr. William Fulton.
Here.
Mr. Donald Scales. Miss Beverly Williams. And Miss Annette Wilson.
Present.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. So is there a discussion of our September minutes? Could someone please make a motion then for us to approve the minutes from September?
Annette Wilson, I move that we accept the minutes from September's meeting.
I second it.
Thank you. And Ms. Waldeck, I believe we need to.
Yes, Dr. Cynthia Villa-Gomez.
Approve.
Dr. Robert Dura, Mr. Robert Dura. Okay. I think his audio is not working there. Mr. William Fulton.
Yes.
And Miss Annette Wilson.
Approve.
So our September minutes are approved. So it would be wonderful if we could have our Historic Commission fellow citizens present to us. I'm eager to hear. I think we're all eager to hear what they have to share today. So I'm so glad they're with us.
Good afternoon, Chair Villa-Gomez, members of the committee, and Councilmember Scipio. This is Heather Bratland, one of the Historic Resources Officers. You all will remember that we came and presented to you about our Historic Marker Committee recently, and we have now Miss Wilson on our committee, which is fantastic. We are super excited about that. We also talked about do a better job interfacing with you all when we host events that we think might be good opportunities for you to get your mission out in front of the community. And so we wanted to let you know that we're going to be hosting a marker unveiling for the Waughtown Freedman School Historic Marker on Saturday, October 29th at 3:00. The location is Waughtown and Colony Streets, which is the location of the historic Harris Freeze Farm, where there was a Black church and the Freedman School that were both located near that farm. And there is still today a historic Black cemetery that's right in the vicinity of that intersection. That's where we're going to be putting the marker. And we wanted to invite you all as members of the commission or committee, excuse me, to come to the event and perhaps have a table so that you can share information about what you're doing, maybe potentially get people to sign up to do oral histories, that kind of thing. We've been working with the marker applicant, who's Spencer McCall, and he has a pretty incredible list of people that he is planning to have come and speak, including descendants of the Foy family, descendants from Addie Morris's family, the Freeze family, and the Butler and Lee families, who were students and teachers, descendants of people who were students and teachers at this school. So certainly they'll all be there, and marketing will be there to record that. So that will be on video, the formal speeches, but it just seemed like a great opportunity for you all to connect with people who are participating in the event and also attendees who were there. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about that, but we just wanted to make that invitation.
Heather, this is Annette.
Hi.
I am very familiar with Miss Addie Morris, who was a member of First Baptist Church.
Right, correct.
But I am not familiar with the location on Walltown of this school. And what was the name of the school?
It was the Walltown Freedman School, and it opened in 1866. It was actually the first Freedman School in Forsyth County. It predated the African school that was, in Happy Hill, which that was new information for all of us. We didn't know this until Spencer brought in the records from the National Archives that showed the history of the school and when it opened. Another thing that was unique about this school was it did not have any charitable support. The Freedmen actually owned the land, they owned the school building, and they paid the teacher themselves without any support at all from the white community, which was unusual. Most of the, the other Freedmen schools in the county were not like that. So Addie Morris, her family lived in that area. So it's, south of town in Walltown. And she was a student there. So that's kind of that history. And so it's one of her descendants who he's working with, hopefully, who will be able to come speak.
And did you also mention the Foy family? Is that F-O-Y, Foy?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
And do you have any of their names? Because I do know a lot of the Foys that are in Winston-Salem, at least their descendants.
The people that I can give you the names. Yes. So the people he had anticipated that we've got on our draft program are Michelle Waugh from the Waugh family, Julius Green and Lucretia Carter-Berry from the Foy family, Angela C., who's actually a former assistant city manager in Charlotte, but she is the Addie Morris family descendant. And then Clara Caldwell, who is a Freeze family descendant, Vanessa Booker Kesey, and I'm not sure if this is spelled incorrectly, Janice or Jance Wagner Ross, who are Butler and Lee family descendants. Those are the people Spencer McCall gave us for the program. We are getting close to having this ready to send out. Councilmember Scipio, you'll get a copy of the program once it's done. And we would love to also invite all of you members of the committee, Jamie or Wanda, if you all could send us maybe a roster with mailing addresses, because we do mail hard copy invites out. We'd love to make sure we get an invitation to everybody that's on the committee.
And what was that date and time again, please?
It's Saturday, October 29th at 3:00. So if the committee wants to have someone there representing you and you wanted to arrive about 2:30, that would probably be early enough. We don't usually get people there much more than 30 minutes or so ahead of time. And staff, meaning me and Michelle McCullough, my colleague, will be on site by 1:30. So if you all, wanted to come earlier, that's fine. We can arrange also to, get chairs and a table. We just need you all to tell us we're planning to come, and then we'll help make the logistics happen.
Thank you, Heather. No, I'm committed, long term to trying to be there anytime you have a new marker being celebrated. I can't make it, unfortunately, this month because my goddaughter is getting married in San Diego. So that particular Saturday, I'll be back in San Diego. But moving forward, if you give us, good notice, then I can certainly try to be there to represent us, and hopefully we can always have a few people. I know at Juneteenth, Miss Beverly and Miss Annette and I think we were a great team, and it was a lot of fun to just be there and meet people. So I know that these events, as they come up, will be wonderful opportunities to engage and hopefully get a few oral histories each time.
That would, yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for sharing.
Yes.
So I don't know if I know not all your committee members are here, but maybe Wanda, if anybody follows up with you and indicates, that they would like to come and represent the committee, then just be in touch and let me know, and we'll help make sure that we have the logistics necessary.
This is really important. I'd like to make sure that I get an invitation.
Yes.
So I can share it with First Baptist, because I go there, and
okay.
We have discovered Miss Addie C. Morris's grave. She buried out at Oak Grove Baptist Church, and we have discovered it. And
interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think we knew that, but I'll make sure that we record that information in our files so we have it. And yes, I'd be happy to mail out invitations to everybody who's on the committee. They should be going out probably early next week. Thank you for the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Heather.
Bye.
Bye. And then another thing that we might be able to do is actually have some of the student interns join, because that would be great to have the young people meeting the elders. So that so if we're given good notice, then I can try to arrange that as well. And so I'll now finish off my items. I just wanted you to know that our interns are working as wonderful busy bees. They're all very passionate about all the different types of research and writing they've been doing on behalf of AAHI. So the great thing now is that we have one intern, Kristen, she's going into, this is her second year working on AAHI. And then we have 4 others who were really immersed in everything about Black Winston-Salem over the spring. So they're working as well. And so we've kind of anchored this semester's work in looking at early business and economic development in our community, really through the lens of Dr. Simon Green Adkins, because at WSSU we have most of his papers. And so that's the anchor. And, as we're doing the research to help the students contextualize his papers, we're thinking about his kind of vision as a Christian, how that really defined what he does. And so we're not going to privilege AME Zion, but we're kind of starting there. And so, Mr. Dura, you're our church person, and you're a great writer, and you're a trained historian. So I would love for you to possibly join us in what we'll do. But if there's any evidence that any of you have from your churches or church affiliates, because I know the city wants us to really write this reparative justice history on how so much of what we had was destroyed by urban renewal and redlining. We still want to celebrate what we had. So that's why we're really starting with this kind of business and economic outlook this semester. But, this isn't a WSSU only project. So yes, we're working but we want all of us to be involved. And if you have an idea of where you want us to go, you have an anchor that you think is important for us to put down, then we can do that. And of course, next semester, we'll have all of the same interns. So they'll be very, very well developed as researchers and writers. And that leads me to the last thing. So we had the Mellon grant proposal that Mackenzie, our intern over the summer, worked on. And as a midterm project, I assigned 2 of our strongest researchers and writers to take a look, since they were really so involved in the research and writing in the spring. So they're making revisions. I have their revisions and suggestions. And so if we want to go ahead and try to submit tomorrow, we can. But the other thing is, I want us to recognize that the students are now getting this really wonderful experience in how a grant proposal process works, and they paid attention to what the Mellon reviewer had to say. And so we might explore collectively, the city staff and this whole committee, of other grants. And then we would have all these students working throughout next semester. And I think that more that we could get involved, the stronger the proposal could be at the very end. So, so that's where we are right now. Thank you. So Miss Wanda, would you like to move into your updates?
Yes, thank you, Chair Villa-Gomez, and good afternoon, everyone. My apologies. I hope you can understand me. I just wanted to be here primarily this afternoon, even though I'm kind of off today, but I wanted to make sure I introduced to you my new Assistant Director for the Human Relations, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Department, and that is Dr. Ronnie Christian. Dr. Christian has a wealth of background that I would like for him to share with you. I'm not going to steal his thunder, but we're really excited to have him on board. It has been a long time coming now that the staff has grown significantly and our duties have significantly increased. It is certainly very timely to have him and his expertise to help us get through what we're about to go through with all of these new and exciting duties that we have. So, Dr. Christian, would you please self-introduce?
Absolutely. Well, good afternoon to everyone. It is truly a pleasure to be here. I am from the area, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, born and raised. I am a product of Parkland High School. I attended Appalachian State University, where I received my bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I am an Aggie, have some Aggie pride.
Aggie pride.
There we go. Where I received my master's in business and industry counseling. Also attended the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, where I received not only my postmaster's, but also my doctorate in educational leadership. I've been working for the last 16 years in education in various roles in leadership. Of course, I worked locally with our police department for 5 years and worked 2 years in the Human Relations Department and also with the JobLink Career Center some time ago with Mary Jo Campbell. So I'm just excited to be here, glad to be a part of this awesome department and work under the leadership of Mrs. Wanda Allen AAHI and just bring my wealth of knowledge and experience to what we're doing here in Winston-Salem via DEI.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. I appreciate you for joining us today. And I thought that you would have a very unique interest in the work, particularly of AAHI, because you are indeed a product of the community, as you said. Excuse me. And I think that some of the areas that AAHI is concentrating on would be particularly of interest to you as well. And so welcome once again. And we look forward to working with you. And to the AAHI members who are on today, feel free to reach out to Ronnie whenever he's available. I will encourage him to join these meetings so that he can continue to learn about all of the important things that you all are doing. We have another new staff member who just started Monday with Ronnie. And I don't think Javier is in there with Ronnie right now, but Javier is another new staff person that we have, Javier Correa Vega, and he comes to us from the Winston-Salem Forsyth County school system. And he worked for the school system for a number of years, I think it's almost 20 years. And he also has background as a police officer. And his focus is he's a language access coordinator, and his focus will be on working with the Hispanic community to ensure that critical information, in addition to our general programmatic information, reaches that community in ways in which they can understand. And so not only in written format, but also in verbally in any other way that he needs to reach out, that will be what his primary area of focus will be. So he will be working very closely with Adolfo Briseño. Thank you. My voice is about to go. Thank you. Via Gomez, if you've been speaking, you're on mute.
Oh, thank you. I'm so sorry. Yes, I apologize. So I believe we can move on to our city staff updates. So Mr. Frank Elliott is first.
Hey, Chairman Villa Gomez. Just wanted to let you know that should you have some people at the Walltown Freeman School marker, please let us know. We'll be sure to put that in our news release that we put out beforehand, so people will know about that. And also, I'm happy to tell you that come October 17th, we will have a new deputy director on board. Her name is Mary Junka, and some of you who are longtime journal readers will remember she used to be a columnist and reporter for the Journal. She's done some pretty good things since then, and I'm very excited to be getting her. I have not yet decided what I'm going to shift off onto her vis-a-vis AAHI, but I'll certainly have her sit in on the next meeting so y'all can meet her. And Chair Villa Gomez, you're muted again.
I'll just blame it on grading. We're in midterm, so I'm not getting a lot of sleep. Thank you, Frank. So let's see where we are. What about our information systems update? Any new information with our information systems?
Madam Chair, I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I haven't been on this call in a couple of months, so I just needed an update. Are we now connected to Digital North Carolina or not?
So Ms. Waldeck is saying yes. I know that from the legal standpoint, the partnership between Winston-Salem State and the city was approved, which was really what needed to happen. But I'm not sure if much has actually been posted now on Digital North Carolina.
Chair Villa Gomez, we have Tracy Simmons And we also have Jackie Phillips Hayes on the call, and I'm hoping that they can chime in. Jamie, if you have anything that you can add, it would be great if you could chime in too with Tracy and Jackie.
Wanda, as far as I know, the digital site is up and running, North Carolina Digital. Jackie, can you please confirm that for us? Were you able to hear me?
Yes, Tracy.
Okay.
I'm going to speak up because Jackie must be covered up right now. But yes, it is working. We have linked from our site where we're able to submit everything over to Digital NC. There are a few things that are showing up currently. And then we just have a small amount at the moment. So once we're ready to do like bulk uploads and stuff, we do have the process working. We do have a link on Digital NC that has our logo on it. All of that is up and running.
And do we need to update our city website to state that we're connected to Digital North Carolina and through Winston-Salem State? I mean, have we put that on our website so people understand the depth of what we've done?
We, as far as I know, we haven't. I'm sorry, Tracy.
Yeah, I'm not certain that we have either. I'd like Frank Elliott to either confirm that we have or have not.
I have not done anything with the website in a while. If you let us know what we need to do to it, we'll bring it up to date.
I just don't know if legally I think it's a good thing to do. I don't know if there are legal things that we must do in the partnership, and to the extent that Winston-Salem State's logo needs to be there because of they're our partner to Digital North Carolina. I just think it's a good thing to do. I don't know exactly all of what we need to do though.
And one thing that I can do with our interns, because I have 2 separate meetings each week, we can actually go to Digital North Carolina and just start to see what it's like to move into our material and see how they have us listed. So I'll make sure to assign that to the interns, and I can come back with information in our November meeting on that.
Tom, on your website at WSSU, how do you have a statement that speaks to Digital North Carolina for your submissions or not?
We don't, mostly because everything that we've contributed to Digital NC, we also host in our own digital archive. And so instead of redirecting people there, we try and keep people in our system. So we don't currently point people there.
So I guess I'm asking, the committee may need to have a discussion on how you like to show the link to the connection to Winston-Salem State University and what we need to tell the public. I think that's something that needs to be discussed because of that.
And we absolutely can change our website to show in the university's website to put a statement of partnership with y'all's logo and then point people that way for those collections. Yeah, we absolutely can do that. That's no problem at all.
Yeah. And I'll make sure that that's my first item for November. I do know, as we did research last spring, so we could pull digital material that we couldn't immediately access from our library, that, for instance, the African American group that has been collecting for years and years, and the material was housed in our old nursing building. There now, I think it's Mr. Rich and others have started.
It's the archive.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
it's their material shows as the Winston-Salem African Archive. So they've been putting some material up pretty quickly. So it's really clear that digital NC attributes to whoever is submitting. So I will make sure that it looks that way for our submissions.
And I think Ms. Allen Abraha, I know our submission form, we talked a lot about making sure that people knew that when they submitted, it became a public document. That's on our submission form. And I don't know, maybe where we need to put the connection to Digital North Carolina might need to be on that submission form. I'm just wondering, throwing out those thoughts. So we might need to investigate that internally.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe what we just really need to do is have a not a disclaimer, but a advisory that the material submitted is stored on that Digital North Carolina site, but it's not otherwise really affecting our intake process, is it? I mean,
no, but I think what it does, it gives the public access to what we put on because it is at Digital North Carolina, so we don't have to.
So for retrieval purposes, that's where they got to find it.
That's yeah.
Yeah, so that part of it's because I think we had placeholders saying when we got to the stage of being able to offer retrieval, we would let folks know.
Yes.
And I believe, like, for instance, when we collected recorded oral histories, and Miss Annette and Miss Beverly had people filling out the form and signing, but we spoke to them as well and let them know where this would be housed. I remember being very deliberate about that, so that they would know where to access.
Yeah. So that form needs to be updated also. Wherever they can go to retrieve the data, I think.
So I did pull what it's showing in digital NC, and so what it's doing is it's showing WSSU as the contributor of the item, but it's showing the city of Winston-Salem as the creator of the item. And so I don't know how they plan to fold this AAHI into WSSU as a contributor. But that's what it's showing when you click on one of the items that you all have contributed so far. It's shown the city as the creator and then us as the contributor.
Okay.
Councilmember Scipio, do you mind repeating your questions, your legally related questions? We now have Assistant City Attorney Keisha Red on with us.
Oh, hi there. Oh, hi there, Miss Keisha. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Great. My concerns was now that we're connected to Digital North Carolina, so things get submitted and they go to Digital North Carolina, and then also Digital North Carolina then allows the public to absolutely see what's there. And we have that partnership now with Winston-Salem State, using them as our partner. My concern was, should that be on our website? Should it be on the submission form as to where the documents are actually being stored and can be retrieved? You know, we have a thing about anything that is submitted through the website, through AAHI as a public document. So do we need to inform the public of our relationship with WSSU that gets us to Digital North Carolina?
Okay. And this may be an IT related question, but my understanding was that the point of going with Digital NC was because the city did not have the capacity to scan, store, sort, catalog, etc. So once the Digital NC, AAHI, WSSU collaboration came online, I don't know that the intention was for the city to continue to house and collect things. I think it was that we were anticipating we would do this until we got either an internal hosting infrastructure or until we partnered with an external partner to do that for us. I certainly don't want to speak for anyone in IT, but that was my understanding, is that we were kind of a temporary repository. So to that effect, I think it would be more prudent to direct people to Digital NC or to whatever, because and Wanda, Jamie, correct me if I'm misremembering, but that collaboration with Digital NC also created opportunities for community scanning, sorting, for people to bring stuff in, so we would not have to hold it until we had enough to do that ourselves. So, and please correct me if I'm misunderstanding, Wanda or Jamie or Tom, Thomas.
I thought we would still host our site where people can upload pictures and things through the city website. We would still do that, and then, but when it gets uploaded, it goes through Digital North Carolina and not on our own database.
Like I said, that may be an IT question, because I feel like that may be redundant, but I don't know, because I don't know the IT part of it. And I don't want to say that one can completely replace the other if that's not the case. So it may be prudent for me to get with some of the folks in IT and try to get that worked out. But because my understanding is, I don't think that we would need to do that. I mean, we certainly could, but we would just be holding it until we gave it to Digital NC.
We really wouldn't hold it. It automatically goes to Digital North Carolina.
Right. So then we would just be a pass-through.
Yeah. So, but should we tell the public that's what's happening and let them know that it's going to Digital North Carolina and not just staying at the city?
I mean, as I said, we certainly could do that. We certainly could, or we could just send them to Digital NC. Like, and I don't know from an IT perspective, which is more preferable. Because
this is Tracy from IT. Jackie is on the line. She was the project manager for this. I'm going to let Jackie respond, Keisha, to what you're speaking to. Jackie?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So we do have it currently set up so that people can still submit items and digital information through our website. It goes into a repository on our end, and then we use an secured FTP site to have that information sent. I believe Jamie's the one. Are you the one that sends it from once we go through it, make sure it's appropriate? And our committee here has looked through everything. She sends it through a secured FTP site to Digital NC. So everything is coming through us first and being submitted to us first, because we do want members of this committee and people that are aware of Winston-Salem to go through that and make sure that it's appropriate, because they could submit anything and Digital NC would not know that. So we do have someone here putting eyes on it and viewing it before we submit it to Digital NC, and then they are taking the time to post it and put it onto their website. Now that's for digital items. We're also still accepting physical items too. But whenever they submit the physical item, they should be aware by the form that we are not getting that back. They're not getting that back from us. So I don't know if your team is scanning those yet or not, or if we're sending them to Digital NC to scan. If they get any physical items, photos or anything.
So we have the equipment through our grant with the Winston-Salem Foundation to be able to do all of that, the scanning, our oral histories and all of that. Our process is that we submit it through the submission that RIS built, and then we approve it through that, and that whole submission just goes through the cloud somewhere, and it lands on Digital NC, where we get to look at it on their beautiful website. During their process, they get what we have. They go through a very extensive process where they make sure that we are not uploading something that's already on their website. So sometimes we might have somebody that'll give us an article and they already have it on there. So that will not show up on our archive so it'll get kind of thrown back. And they went through that process with us the first month that they got submissions from us, to let us know that I think about 4 or 5 of our submissions were not viable because either the scanning was bad, or they already had it on their site somewhere else.
Thank you. So the question is, should we put that on our website so that the public knows what happens to their submissions and where they can go to see it and retrieve it in a database?
Sure, we can certainly do that. My understanding was that we were going to link to the Digital NC repository. If you want to just add some language that says anything submitted via this portal will be uploaded to the Digital NC, blah, 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 click link below, or something to that effect, you certainly can do that.
And I'm thinking that we probably need to do that as on that website, on our page.
And I do know that sort of national ethics for oral history and public history collections, one of those best practices and ethical practices is to really be very forthcoming with the public about not only where their material will be housed, but you always want to make sure that the public can readily access and know that step. So that's something I learned with some of the people from the National Council of Public History last year. So I do think that we owe that to our community. I have no idea how that happens technically, but I do think that that's a very important point. So Councilperson Scipio, thank you for bringing that up to our attention.
I'm curious to know what disclosures are given to a person when they make a submission.
I know it's on our submission form.
Because that, in my opinion, would be where this extra sentence would need to be added. Because if I recall, there was some disclaimer language that the person had to read, and then a box they had to click in order to be able to submit it. So then that's where that sentence would need to be added.
And when we've actually had people fill out the forms on site and print them out on paper, we made sure to get their signatures, and especially Miss Annette and Miss Beverly showed that part of the form to the people who participated.
Okay.
But since we do want to share this material long-term, we want other public historians and people doing comparative work and families who might want to learn more about their families and friends. I think it is important ultimately that we let them know where to go once our collection has grown substantially. Well, thank you for the updates from our city and staff. So I must confess, I did not see when our first Wednesday of November is, but we will meet that first Wednesday next month.
Chair Villa-Gomez?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to go back under Wanda, under the director's update. There was the Rooted in Race exhibition.
Yes.
And I'd like to tell you all a little bit about that because it will start before your November meeting. And that will be at Union Station. It's October 29th through November 12th. And there will be, as soon as we get the flyer with all of their like lunch and learn dates and different things like that, because there will be times when it's open, it's not going to be open all the time. That location is not staffed at all times. So they will have a committed schedule during that time. One of the dates that we do know about is November 5th. They're going to be having a Young Voices Day. So showcasing some of our youth advisory council, some of the youth across Forsyth County in regards to the exhibit. And it'll definitely be an excellent event. It was my first time going over to Union Station to learn about this. And I know I'm very excited about it and the opportunity for the community to really go in there and see the exhibit come to life, because it's currently a website exhibit, online exhibit. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Yes, I would just encourage everyone to try to get over there and just see how they have beautifully restored that building. And I really think that we wouldn't have that building where it is now without the vision of Councilperson Scipio. She really promoted that, and Mr. Tom Flynn and I were part of that. I wrote up some of the permanent, I don't know if that's part of the online now, but it was wonderful opportunity to, it's Union Station, but I think most of the voices from the past there were really, the emphasis was on our African-American community, because architecturally you see the segregation built right into that. And I think Michelle McCullough shared the original city plans, and you see on the original city plans it says the colored side and the white side. So it was very special when the city event happened that Councilperson Scipio was really helped to organize, and to really then knowing that that was a place where our elders were marginalized, and then to see that the city prioritized Winston-Salem State and the Black community's engagement with that space. So it's really wonderful now that a new exhibit, again celebrating our Black community, will take place there. It's very exciting. So I'm so glad that we are supporting this event. It's wonderful news. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you. I just have one other comment to the staff and to the committee. Part of our collaboration with the provider of this exhibit is that a lot of their data, the interviews, will go into our AAHI collection, the unedited interviews. So we want to make sure that we collect that, staff, as part of that agreement for them to use Union Station. So it's that the interviews were quite extensive, and so they're very rich. And so we needed to make sure that they go into our collection, and as well as some of the other exhibit items. So we just make sure, Jamie and Wanda, let's make sure we stay on top of making sure we get that at the conclusion.
Will do. And we also did have one more thing on there under the director's update, which is the 1836 Liberation Day. And Wanda, I think, was hoping that Councilmember Scipio might have some updates for that.
1836, October 30th, 1836, 17 slaves on the Frederick Schumann plantation in Happy Hill were emancipated, and they left on October 30th, 1836 for Liberia, West Africa. I don't have all the details, but I'm working with the Liberian Association that we will plan a large celebration, an International Liberation Day celebration next year in 2023. That's just the concept at this point. But I think that we have to be thoughtful about how we celebrate that event that was 27 years before the Civil War. Somehow that seems magnificent. And we've now continued the connections between Winston-Salem and Liberia, that a lasting connection has been made. So I will share more with you, because I would love for some of your committee members to be part of the planning, the celebration of that. It's also around the time of our international festival, right, in October. So trying to do something more on the international level, but make sure the focus is where it should be. It started in the African American community in Happy Hill.
Thank you for that. That's some of what I was reading about this weekend, was just that push before the Civil War, both in the North and the South, for some people to go back. And so it's so great that we have that local history. It's incredible. If we can find more evidence, that's something that I would be happy to work with and have the students look at too as we plan. We have a year to plan, so.
Yes. And the good news is that the Moravians were very good at documenting everything that happened under their rule of government, the church being the keeper of so many records. I mean, they even documented how the farms were laid out and what rows had what plants on them. And so the records actually showed the date, the love feast that happened. It didn't talk about why. Why is not as significant is that it did happen, because Dr. Schumann could have sold his slaves, but he chose not to. He chose to emancipate them. I think he was, when you read the records, I think he was a little bit of a rascal. It may not have been what I would want to have been, but he did do what he did. So,
well, that makes for very interesting history, right?
It does.
Not boring. And it could be interesting to compare that to what was going on in the North, because many of the freed people in the North at this time who were working for abolition were actually against repatriating people, because they felt that racists over on this side were using the recolonization as an excuse to marginalize Black people. So there were some tensions apparently, but we might not have had those tensions here in our city.
I will send you the documentation that I received from Salem. There was a group from the North, American Colonization Society, that actually created Liberia for freed slaves. So this history is fascinating in many ways, and why they did what they did. Again, it wasn't always out of pure love for us. sometimes it was another purpose. But I think this history is so important to bring up and to celebrate and to live by it. And we all need to know it, just like Across the Creek exhibit that was done in Old Salem. Just as the Rooted exhibition is being done. There's so much of our culture and our history that we never wrote about, talked about until somebody did the research and found the things that were there. And they did happen. So AAHI, you're on the cutting edge of really documenting and bringing forth the memories of people for the future. It's not for us today, it really is for 50 years from now. Someone's going to look back and say, what did all these people say? What were they saying? Why was that? So it's very important that we get as many people to share their memories before they pass on, and people are passing on more and more now. So I just want to encourage you to do that.
Yes, and Councilmember Scipio, you've taught me a lot of times what was going on everywhere else wasn't necessarily going on here, because there were some interesting relationships between white and Black people that might not have, those dynamics might not have always played out other places. So that's another reason for us to celebrate what our ancestors accomplished and to keep that going. And I in the classroom try to constantly inspire students to remember this. If you just read what our elders wrote, what they were writing 100 years ago, the way they could write and their knowledge of the world, it's really humbling. And many of these people were runaway slaves, but they freed themselves and they educated themselves. And I don't know if I've ever read one doctoral dissertation that's more beautifully written than some of what I read this weekend. It's quite inspiring. So not everybody wants to read like that, but we can, as our group can do, is to share the stories and encourage people then to learn more on their own. So thank you for sharing that. I know that we're almost an hour and a half in, so I didn't have a chance to check for next month yet. Does anyone know what that first Wednesday in November looks like?
November the 2nd.
Thank you. So we will meet again on November 2nd at 2 p.m. as always. Are there any other little historical memories that people would like to share, or any other action items before we bring our meeting to a close?
I just have a question. When I went to the link that was put in the chat to take us to our connection on Digital NC, it showed programs, not necessarily, I saw the 2 interviews. And so is that something we should be encouraging people to submit, or like, for instance, souvenir journals from reunions and that type of thing?
Yeah, all of that's good.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Miss Annette, can I ask you a question? Did your church submit that grant application?
We submitted the letter of intent, and we should know something by October 14th.
Okay, thank you. I was just
Whether
wondering
we get
what
to
had
go
happened.
to the next phase, yeah.
Okay.
Are there any other memories or questions before we adjourn today? All right, well, thank you, everyone. We always come to this point and my memory fails. We do not need to move to close, do we? Okay. we do that in my department meeting at Winston-Salem State, and then that's why I forget when we get to this point. But thank you all for staying on. It was wonderful. The best way for me to spend my afternoon. And so thank you. I learned a lot today. We heard some wonderful updates, and there's some great things up and coming in the community. So reach out to me. Again, everyone has my email and my phone number. If there's anything I can do to support the committee, the city staff, in the ways that we want to work on behalf of AAHI, please just contact me, and I'm there for you. So take good care, everybody, and thank you again. See you next month.
Thank you.